All right, guys. TBC Classic. It's official. It's been announced. Well, not technically. Blizzard kind of, showed their press information a little too early, but it's the real deal. MMO champion, Wowhead. Check it out. Links in the description below. We've got TBC Classic, and super super excited. Obviously, long awaiting, the game. Long awaiting the announcement. Right. So very excited. But in this video, I'm going to be talking about a specific thing, in their announcement about how they're going to handle classic WoW, going into TBC. Now, from the get-go, I think going in, it's very important to know that the whole reason why classic servers ever came about is because people wanted a way to play the game they paid for, play the game they loved, right? And they just didn't have that option, right? You can't go back and play vanilla, you know, when BFA. When BFA was the most current expansion, you couldn't just go play classic, right? It didn't exist. You have to go with the expansions. You have to move with the levels. Every change they make in the game, well, you just got to live with it, right? Roll with the punches. And with how they roll out the game, obviously they've made sweeping changes. They have to remove a lot of old items. They have to nerf them so they're not used at endgame. On and on and on and on. So you can't really go back and replay the game in the older portions, right? You can't go into Molten Core at 60. In retail, it's not the same. There's been scaling. Obviously, the specs are completely different. And so the whole point of Classic was we want to go back and play the game that we paid for. So it would be really dumb if Blizzard were to give you no way to play Classic, because, that was kind of the whole point. Like, why would we not reach this point in, 2 years when we have TBC Classic or even Wrath of Lich King Classic? Like, okay, 2, 3, 4 years from now, we just go, hey, can we go back to Classic? Like, what happened? I thought the whole point with this was that we'd forever be able to play Classic, right? Or for, some amount of time, be able to play the game. So I think it was integral that with the TBC launch, they provided some way for people to play Classic. So I'm happy to see they did that. However, I do think you've got a crazy crossroads. I think it is absolutely crazy. As you can see here, prior to the Burning Crusade release, Classic players can decide whether to advance each of their characters to TBC, or again, with the rest of your realm, so the server just moves over, or continue to play the original WoW Classic content on new Classic era servers. So it's basically transfer to Classic server if you want to play Classic. Otherwise, you are going to TBC, and you have to transfer to the Classic server before the release. Ooh, man, crazy. Some of you might be thinking, oh, this is normal, this is what I expected. Let me just give you a couple examples to kind of explain how this might affect a player, right? Let's take Bob, okay? Bob, he loves Classic. He has had the time of his life the last couple of years. He's really enjoying Classic. He's got a guild, things are great. And it sounds like his guild is going to play TBC. And he's got to make the decision. Do I go with my guild to play TBC? Or do I, transfer my character to the Classic server? Now again, he's had a ball with Classic. He's loving Classic still. He's really enjoying the game. Doesn't know if he'll like TBC. Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. But he has to now decide, do I essentially, risk losing Classic forever for that character to play TBC, or do I have to start fresh on a level 1 in TBC to hopefully not lose the Classic character, right? In both situations, if he ends up loving TBC and not playing Classic, he'd feel super silly for re-leveling a character just so that he could keep his old character on Classic, and he'd also feel silly that he wasn't able to play his main going into TBC with all the items and stuff he had. But if you do the opposite case, right, he also would feel really, really bad if goes into TBC and doesn't like it, and can't go back now. His main is no longer in Classic, right? You just can't play it. And I think that's just a really unfortunate choice that doesn't have to occur. Don't worry about the Blizzard space to copy your character over. Don't worry about that. People are worried that, having to have two copies of a character, come on. You pay $15 a month. Don't worry about that. What are the counter arguments against having the ability to copy a character? The only one I can think of is that it doesn't really feel right to have the same version of the character on two servers. Like, it feels weird. I guess like a role-playing point of view, that you'd have the 60 version of yourself and the 70 version of yourself. But I mean, come on, dude. There's like Chromie time in retail. Like, we go back in time all the time anyway. Whatever, it's fine. Just give people the ability to continue to enjoy the game. If they go with this implementation, I mean, dude, Classic is... Why would you? So few people are going to play Classic. I would hop into Classic all the time. I'm probably going to leave at least one character at 60. Probably my Orc Rogue, which was my main in Classic. But I mean, I myself am in some really awkward situations going into TBC. I think I'm planning to play Alliance at this point in time, and starting fresh on Alliance side. But I mean, who knows? 6 months down the line, maybe I want to play Horde, right? Am I going to transfer all of my characters? Hopefully, they even give you the option to transfer all my characters from the Classic era that were my old Horde characters I played over to TBC. Like, I hope I can do that. It's just crazy, especially having to make the decision before the release. Like, you don't know. When you go play TBC, are you going to like playing a melee? Are you going to like raiding? Are you going to like PvP? You don't know going in what you're going to enjoy necessarily. So what characters do you leave in Classic? What characters do you take to TBC, right? What if you play, your rogue, you move them into TBC, right? And you realize pretty quickly that, okay, daggers is different than it was in Classic, right? And maybe daggers aren't considered as good in TBC PvP as they were in Classic. Specifically, if you're gonna go the Shadow Step spec, and you might be like, whoa, man, wait a second. Like, I want to go back to Classic where I was, where I was one-shotting people with ambush and backstab. Like, that was cool. I don't do that anymore in TBC, right? I don't know. I personally, again, very excited with the news. Happy there's a way to play Classic. But man, is this a tough decision for a lot of people. And I think most people are just going to go to TBC and just not play Classic. And, I mean, for those of you saying, boo-hoo, Classic's over, suck it up, they're giving you the choice, you should be happy for that, Just keep in mind that just because you're a little sour on Classic now, which I'm sure a lot of people are, because, I mean, we've been playing it for quite a while now. Some people are tired of the world buffs, the consumes. Grass is always greener on the other side. You may go into TBC and realize, a lot of cool things about Classic you took for granted. Or, you just look at it from the point of view that, maybe your favorite expansion is Wrath of Lich King or TBC. And how would you feel if the expansion that they follow it with in Classic, like let's say they do Wrath of the Lich King Classic, how would you feel if TBC was your favorite expansion and you had to choose between moving your main to a TBC server or being able to play Wrath of the Lich King on that character, right? So just put it in perspective of your favorite expansions, and maybe it doesn't sound so crazy. Because I've seen, a lot of people on the forums saying like, oh, boo-hoo, suck it up. Just everyone's going to play TBC. Well, I mean, if it was your favorite expansion that you wanted to keep your character in, like, maybe you'd think of it a little differently. But anyway, that's my thought. That's my opinion. Again, excited for the announcement. Glad that there's a way to play Classic characters. Not loving this implementation. Do not think there's really many downsides, or really any besides that small little thing I pointed out. Let me know what you think. What are the downsides to allowing you to same deal? The characters will move into Burning Crusade, on the server they're currently on, and you can copy a character to Classic, right? Just make it copy instead of transfer. What are the downsides? Let me know, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.